morning, and I'm joined today by Bernadette Sheridan from PayProp. PayProp, as you will all know, provide solutions to the lettings and management side of our industry. And one of the main problems, Bernadette, I suppose, that agents complain about when it comes to property management, it's never normally sort of the tenant side of things or the repair side of things. If you've got a leaking pipe, you find a plumber, it's a job done. But one of the more tedious and time-consuming aspects of our job as property managers is obviously formulating the accounts, dealing with arrears and payments. And if you're a managing agent of a decent size, so if you're managing 10 properties, it may not take you a long time to pay 10 landlords. But I'd imagine if you're managing hundreds of properties, that turns into a full-time job for somebody.
Yeah.
Not anymore, right? Thanks to PayProp.
Not anymore, exactly. And in fact, I think the sort of main bite point that PayProp actually does make a difference to the agents starts at about 50. It makes a dramatic difference. So quite often up to 50 properties, it's an agent that started off on their own and they've grown their business. And then it gets to a stage at 50 is when at the point when actually someone can manage it. We do see they get benefits, anything from 20 upwards. Once they get into the hundreds, there's nothing that actually compares. I mean, absolutely nothing, because it just makes it so easy. And people just don't realise until they've actually seen it in a demonstration as to what it can do.
Because those of us that haven't seen it before, we're sort of living in the dark ages before open banking, and before... we live in the sort of land of Excel spreadsheets and ledgers where, a bank account wasn't reconciled until a human being went through it and tried to work out exactly which payment matched with which. But open banking has been a game changer.
It's been a game changer, but there's still people not utilising open banking because they don't understand it. I mean, one of the beauties of PayProp is the fact that it's so simplistic to use. So there's nothing very complicated. All the complicated stuff is done in the back end. So I liken it to having my Apple phone. I thought, oh no, I can't ever get an Apple phone. Oh my gosh, no, that's far too techie for me. No, I can't be dealing with all of that. And now, all those years on,
you wouldn't leave home without it.
I wouldn't leave home without it. I mean, every single photo I have is linked to it, absolutely everything. My calendar, diaries, birthdays, everything is linked there. And I wonder how I would function if it went missing. Yeah. Although it's uploaded, so it's all good. So, and it's exactly the same with PayProp, really, because you can go anywhere and use it. I mean, one of the things that people loved about it prior to the pandemic and how we got so much take up during the pandemic was the fact that you could work from anywhere, doing it so easy with no software installation because it's cloud-based and it's so secure. It's securer than most of the banks, actually. That's, it's like nothing else, really is.
Well, that's encouraging to hear, because I think if there's one thing we can learn from the pandemic, it's that you can never be too prepared for emergencies and for eventualities. I mean, literally nobody in the world, except for really rubbish B-movie directors, would have come up with a scenario in which the whole world is stricken by a deadly virus that means that we cannot go out unless it's for essential things. So I think the words furlough were not in our vernacular. We just didn't have it there. And we now live in a different reality where I think if we need to learn, and we need to learn that we need to be ready, and we need to be ready not just on a personal level, but also as business owners. We owe it to our clients to represent solutions to them that in the future are not easily disruptable, even if there is a major world episode again, which we obviously hope there isn't. But it would give a landlord immense confidence to understand that their agent is still able to pay rents and to produce statements and to give up-to-date accounting from wherever they are on the planet.
Yeah. And I mean, the one thing that landlords very much want to know is where their money is. And so
it's the only thing they want to know. It's the only thing.
There's one or two that there's a couple of exceptions, but it is their primary reason. It's often an investment, or a pension, or, it's income for them, and they want to know what's happening with their money, and they want their accountants to know. As landlords, investor landlords, they want their accountants to know. And PayProp accommodates all of that. So the communications go out at the point when money's transacted through. So it makes it second to none. It's just untouchable on anything like that. Arrears are fantastic to manage on there. We've even got accommodation for the breathing space regulations now. So it's really, and the time it saves is just phenomenal. So even because a lot of people, one of the objections we often get is, I've got a system. Okay, all right. Integrated in a bank, is it? And it's not. That's where we are unique, and we do stand out from anybody else. We are the only one in the UK like that.
Well, maybe let's look at that a little bit more in depth without giving us a full-blown demo, but just to explain what, as if I was a small school child and you needed to give it to me in really simple terms. But how does PayProp work?
Okay, PayProp automates all of the client accounting functions. It's highly sophisticated software that makes potentially a very complicated process simple.
That's it. That's what it does. And do you know, I've actually spoken to some of your very happy customers. I didn't tell you I was going to, but I happen to come across agents every day of the week. And we often talk about different solutions that they're using. And one of the questions I like to ask an agent is, which prop tech solutions they couldn't live without. And you'd be surprised how often, maybe you won't be surprised, but I was pleasantly surprised how often PayProp is mentioned there. And one of the comments that one agent gave to me said, look, we can manage, we're always obsessed with how many properties we're able to manage per person in our rental department. So if I've got 5 people, how many properties can I reasonably manage without getting swamped? And he says, we're now able to increase the number of properties per person that we're able to comfortably manage, deliver good service, and our client accounting, in terms of doing a rent run, which used to take somebody, I think he said something like 3 days out of a working week. That's 3 full days just to do a rent run. That's just producing statements, just doing the banking. And that's if they were lucky. It's sometimes overrun. And once you look at more than 3 days, that's a full-time job for somebody effectively. And you guys have come in and changed his life, and that now no longer is their reality. The sort of payment side of things is very clear, very transparent, and you've given the ability, you've freed up the people that actually work within his management department to go and do something else. And so, arrears management sometimes takes a little bit of telephone time to speak to a tenant, especially with the breathing space regulations and everything else, to try and handle it as sensitively as possible. Well, they've now got the time to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest win, where they are spending lots of time, or they've got one person spending lots of time. There's some departments and they have 5 people doing accounts. And, and we tend to see that there's a reduction in time saving, 60 to 90%. So actually, those people often fall into those positions because actually there's a business need, but can actually be utilised for far more effective tasks like the property management and the maintenance, especially as where compliance has changed for managing properties so massively over the last few years. Their time can be utilised there rather than having to recruit additional people.
No, it's great. And sometimes when you look at a lot of estate agency content and you look at all the interviews that we all see online nowadays, it's all very heavily sales focused. And the main reason for that is that lettings and management has never been seen as being sexy. And the reason for that is it's very admin based, it's very admin heavy, always has been. And if you add on top of that sort of tedious, repetitive admin, you go and give it a massive layer of ever-changing, it's like an ever-changing landscape of legislation and rules and regulations that have to be put in place. It can make it a space in which it's just not as comfortable sometimes or as attractive as people might seem. But I think that solutions such as the ones that PayProp offer to the industry are really starting to clear that space and make it, I don't know, a more productive place to be.
Yeah, one of my favourites is when you get an estate agent who decides they do want to do lettings and they don't really want to do it. They feel that they have to do.
Yeah.
And to accommodate and sort of fill that space in their own business. And they do that transition to doing lettings. And they're like, oh, yeah, but there's all the accounts. Oh, I'll need an accountant, won't I? No, you don't actually. And I've spoken to a couple of agents who their primary background was estate agency. And my favourite comment from one of those is, I asked him after he started using it and I could see it, his portfolio is growing sufficiently. I said, oh, how's it going? He said, oh, it's brilliant. He says, I know nothing. He said, but nobody knows that. They think I'm absolutely amazing. And, and actually, that's because PayProp's doing it all the automation, everything. And it's doing all the reconciliation with just within a few clicks for him.
Now, tell us, I mean, obviously I'm very familiar with what you, kind of the value that you deliver to the end user, which is ultimately the end beneficiary is always going to be the landlord or the client here that is receiving their payment in time.
And the contractors.
And the contractors and all of that goes with it. That's great value that is being delivered all the way down the line. And I always say, for a prop tech solution to have value, it should not only benefit the agent, but really also be life-changing as well for the people that they serve, landlords, contractors, anybody else that they meet along the way. And I can quite happily state that your solution ticks both of those boxes.
Yeah, well, the two most popular things are with the landlord's app. They have access to all of their statements 24/7. So the agents absolutely love that they don't keep getting asked for it, because agents are always asked, oh, I know you sent me my statements, but is there any way you could send me this year's statements? That's at the year end.
Yeah.
So they don't have to do that anymore. Tenants also don't necessarily say, oh, did you receive my money? There's calls of the tenants that say, did you get my money? Because actually they receive a thank you to say the money's been received. And they've also got a tenant portal now that they can go in and see the activity in relation to their account. So there's transparency for the tenants and also for the landlords, which everybody wants.
Superb, absolutely superb. And it's solutions like this have changed the way that we work for forever, pretty much, because it's set a new standard for that side of the industry, which is great, and it's great to see. We touched off camera, we spoke very briefly about the efficiencies that you're currently able to deliver to estate agents as business owners as well. So you've got that solution that gets everybody paid and does your client accounting, but you can now help us do our own accounting.
Yeah. So and that's a massive big changer actually as well. Another changer for the business. We've got an API integration which goes directly into Xero, and we've got a business that actually filters it exactly the way you want it to go. So phenomenal for the end user. You can, anyone who runs a business likes to look generally at the data, normally about the money, but in a estate agent's case about, the portfolio growth, loss, where it's growing, where it's not growing, what negotiators are bringing in the most amount of business, all of that sort of stuff. And all of that can be pulled through, which is which is a game changer for managing the business, actually, because all
and
of the
I
hours.
suppose that's pretty live data, isn't it? I mean, that's up to date.
Oh, it's live up to the minute. Yeah.
And that's superb, because very often we used to have to wait till the end of the year till the accountant eventually sends through your end of year report, and you always have that awkward phone call with the accountant and say, right, how have we done this year? And he'll say, right, on sales, this is what it's been, and on lettings, well, you've had this sort of growth and you have no idea where that's come from because it's not been broken down.
Yeah.
Whereas and so I need to wait a year to set my targets for the next year and to work out which areas of my business to concentrate on. With your solution, I can look at that this week and I can decide next week what my business now needs to do in order to better those figures.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's up to the minute. So you've got all that data available in real time, and it's straight from your account. So I mean, you couldn't ask for more, really.
It really, look, lots of people chuck around that phrase game changer, but I think that this sort of innovation and the efficiency as well, and the fact that we can rely on it in the same way that you can. I mean, you mentioned earlier security in terms of the because there's a lot of client money involved here, there's a lot of client accounting involved here. So the backbone of PayProp needs to be as secure as the banks that we normally deal with, if not more secure. And it's fantastic that you're able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the partners that we're in each of the territories. We partner with a trusted bank, and in the UK, it's the NatWest Group. And it's a high street bank. It's well known, and we have to dot lots of I's and cross lots of T's to have our software sitting within their client account.
Fantastic. So, and I guess that for those people that are PayProp customers, if I'm going out to see a prospective landlord and I'm trying to win their business, PayProp actually becomes part of my pitch to them, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%. I mean, there's lots of unique selling points. The fact that it's in a ring-fenced client account, that the client account is kept safe, monies aren't paid out too early in the day, so they're never going to be short in their client account. The amount of errors that can be made are minimal. It's 100% accurate 100% of the time, because the computer's doing it. There's not a human being actually inputting that data. So the landlords get the money the same day that the tenants have paid it generally. Payments can be made up until sort of 10 o'clock. So you can pay over the landlord until 10 o'clock at night. So it's, it has an awful lot of value, and landlords absolutely love it. In fact, some of our agents actually have done their own bespoke marketing for their landlords.
Yeah. Now, I absolutely would encourage any agent who is using PayProp to really sort of bring that to the forefront of their valuation pitch to a landlord, because I think if an agent is forward thinking enough to use a solution like this and to deliver efficiencies to their clients, I'd scream about it from the rooftops and make sure that as many people as possible knew about it. Bernadette, I'm not going to keep you too long. Just wanted to ask you perhaps one other thing. If an agent wants to utilize your solution, and let's just say, and again, one of the reasons why landlords don't move agents very often is because they think it's too complicated to move. It's a bit like moving bank accounts. Even more so when it comes to estate agents moving payment solution providers or managing software or just changing the way that they work. Almost anything to do with their client account, they become a little bit kind of like, oh, it sounds good, but how complicated is it going to be? How complicated is it? So if I'm existing, let's say I'm managing 500 properties today, how quickly can I be managing with you guys on PayProp?
Okay, as a tech solution company with expertise in making very complicated things very simple, of course, we make it very simple. Well, I say we, I refer to the customer service team, who are phenomenal. They are state of the art. from the day that you sort of make that decision and you get the data to us, we have to have it up and running within 30 days, because otherwise the data's out of date, of course, because generally things are running on a 30-day basis. So, and we do that for between 30 to 50 agents a month.
Wow. And can I keep my client account where it was before, or do I need to change banking providers or anything like that?
Where your client account is, because our software sits within the client account, we need you to have a sort of software, one of the accounts that has our software in it. So
right, okay.
Change to the NatWest Group, who we're partnered with.
And they're, as you said earlier, they're pretty mainstream high street bank, and
we do the administration and the KYC information for all of that. So we manage that.
Fantastic. You make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
Well, all your details and the latest PayProp deal will be on your Kerfuffle page, which will be sprinting across the screen as we speak right now. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you, and thank you for telling us a little bit more about your solution.
Likewise, David. Thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure.